Welcome to Fly Eats Kitchen. I'm Jessica, your host, and today we are going to make the most amazing shrimp and grits that you've ever had. But of course, we have to make it fly, so you're going to have some shrimp and grit waffles. If you like what you see, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment below, even hit that little notification button so that you won't miss another video like this. For our grits, we need a few things. Obviously, grits. Honestly, for this recipe, I usually like using old-fashioned grits and like really slow cook it. But for some reason, there's an outage, and so I got the instant grits, which work just as well. So don't really worry about it if you don't find the old-fashioned one. They're just fine. Just don't use the packet ones, okay? I'll judge you if you do. Besides the grits, and that's just 1 cup of grits. For our liquid, normally people will put just 1 cup of grits, I think 4 cups of water, but we want to really make this really flavorful. So we have some heavy cream, we have some vegetable broth, you can use chicken broth if you really want, but we're going to use 2 cups of each and a little bit of water as we boil that whole thing together and mix it all up. So you also need some butter. We're going to add some butter to the pan. After 2 cups of vegetable broth, you're going to add 2 cups of heavy cream. You'll add a 1/4 cup of water. After that, you're going to season with some garlic powder and then season with some Creole seasoning. I would say about a tablespoon of each just to start off, and then you can adjust as you continue. You'll stir it up and then bring to a boil. Now that it is boiled, we're gonna slowly add our grits. Now, like I said earlier, this is the instant grit, so they're gonna cook a lot faster than what the old-fashioned ones would do. But you still want to make sure that you pour in slowly and stir while you're mixing it in, because grits have a tendency to clump really, really fast. So you don't want to be like, leave it here and think that it's just gonna be all good. It's not, okay? So just make sure you're stirring it in nicely. Put that whole cup in. And I know 1 cup sometimes seems like not a lot, but trust me, I've done the legwork. There's been times where I've seen 1 cup of grits, and I'm like, that's not enough for everybody. So I'll add like a little bit more, and then a little bit more, a little bit more. Next thing you know, you have this big ass pot of grits that you don't need. So 1 cup is plenty. So just make sure that you add that in. And like I said, go ahead and stir that up. Bring your heat down just a little bit, because once it does start boiling, the grits will start to splatter. And I know y'all heard that joke about, when a woman is angry and she got some grits on the oven. It's real, okay? So we're going to let that stir up. I think really it should probably only take like 5 to 10 minutes, honestly. Because like I said, it's instant grits. If it's the old-fashioned grits, that's really splattery. If it's the old-fashioned grits, then that's going to take like 40 minutes. You want to give it like tender loving care, slowly stir it up, slowly get it done so that it can be perfect. And then, yeah, so we're going to continue this and try not to get popped. Like I said, with these instant grits, it's going to get thick fast, okay? So don't think you can just walk away and, let this thing hang out, because you're going to end up burning it or getting, really, really thick, like tough grits, and you don't want that. I really enjoy cheesy grits, and so right before it's really about to get done, that's when I usually add my cheese. So I have some sharp cheddar cheese here. I add a lot because I like my grits super cheesy. If you don't care for cheesy grits, then really you can stop right here, and it's just as good, to be quite honest. But I like a lot of cheese, and so I go in on it. Then you're going to mix that cheese in, let it melt all into the grits. If your grits are still like a little too thick, you can always add a little bit of water or some of the vegetable broth, even some of the heavy cream, whatever liquid to just kind of loosen it up so that you'll be ready for the next steps. We finished cooking our wonderful, cheesy, creamy, thick, what am I describing? Our grits. So make sure that when you are cooking it, like I like to say, trust your cook stinks. Taste test things. If you feel like it needs more salt, if you feel like you want to add a little bit more seasoning, like I said, the consistency, the thickness of it, if you want to kind of loosen it up, add some broth, add the heavy cream, add some water, whatever you want to do. But just make sure it's for what you want. Like I always say, cooking is personal, so you have to make it work for you. But for me, It's legit. So now, you know, obviously we can just end right here, make our shrimp and eat our shrimp and grits like any normal being, but we fly. We too fly for that. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and transfer our grits onto our baking pan with parchment paper on top. If you don't have parchment paper, you just want to make sure you have a really good non-stick baking sheet pan, just to make sure, or you can actually put a little butter or a little tiny bit of oil under it, because what we're going to do is we're going to freeze this grits for about 45 minutes before we create our waffle. This part is really important because you want our waffle to form really well, and I've tried it, y'all. If you don't freeze it before, trust me, you're just going to have grits again. And it's not going to be cute. It's going to be all over your waffle maker. So this step is really important. Make sure that you freeze it, like I said, for 45 minutes. And we're going to take it out, place it into our waffle maker to have that beautiful form, and add our shrimp on top and all that good stuff. So let's put this on our parchment paper and get ready for freezing. While we have our grits in the freezer, you know, molding up and getting ready to become our waffles, we're going to go ahead and cook our shrimp. So like I said, we season the shrimp with some Creole seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, and we're going to go ahead and pan fry it so it's a nice topping with our grits. We're going to get ready to pan fry it. So we're going to put a little bit of olive oil. I always just put like a capful. That's usually a good measurement of amount of oil. Unless you really want it to be deep fried, then, you know, that's up to you. That's what you can do. So make sure that your pan is at a medium-high level. And, you know, just enough so that shrimp can get a sizzle. And you're going to cook the shrimp on each side for about 3 to 4 minutes. And we're going to add our shrimp to our nice and hot pan. I know y'all hear that sizzle. And like I said, we're going to make sure to cook it for about, what did I say, 3 to 4 minutes? It's just the whole point is that you don't want to overcook your shrimp. I'm big on just making sure that shrimp is not overcooked. No one likes rubbery shrimp, so you just want to make sure that you do just enough so that it's perfectly pink and nice and juicy, and it still retains the flavor from all of the seasonings that we put in there, from that lime juice that we use to, like, you know, add the extra flavor to it. And then after a couple minutes are done on each side, we'll be ready to make our waffle grits. Finally ready to make our grits waffle. Like I said earlier, we have, you know, put our grits in the freezer so it's nicely firm and created like kind of like a really good structure so that it doesn't completely fall apart when we put it in the griddle. Y'all don't make fun of me. My little waffle maker that I bought is convenient and really easy. And so make sure that it's nicely heated. If you have oil, you know, the spray bottle, then you can just spray it lightly. Otherwise, listen, don't act brand new. You can put a little bit of oil in a napkin, just kind of dab it on there as well, just to make sure it's like slightly lubricated in case it gets too stuck or sticky and you don't want to have a hard time taking the grits out, or waffle grits really. All right, so I cut like a little circle. And you still want to be gentle with it. It was in the freezer, but still, as it sits out, it's going to start thawing out. And so you want to make sure that it doesn't completely break apart in your hand, especially prior to putting it in the waffle maker. So it's nice and hot. You know, y'all hear that sizzle? Waffle maker. So this mini one, you have to kind of hold on to it tight so that it creates the molding properly. After leaving it, you know, super tight in your waffle maker for a couple of minutes, you're gonna just open it up, and you have to let it sit for a while. You know, like you guys can already tell, and like I've said before, this is going to be very delicate. So you don't want to think like it's not regular waffle mix or pancake mix. You can't just flip it out right away. You want it to kind of settle so that the molding really sets, and then you'll flip it onto a plate and be ready to eat. Our grit waffles are perfectly made, as you guys can see. So now it's time to top it off with our seasoned Creole shrimp full of spice and garlic and yumminess. So you're just gonna top that off. Make it look real cute just for you to devour. And mix up. I mean, you know, this is kind of like good for dinner, good for breakfast. It's a cute brunch idea. So you can literally have it any time of the day. And depending on if you want like that sweet taste, you know, I'm the type of person that's like, after I have something salty, I need something sweet, and it keeps going on and on and on until, you know, infinity, I guess. So if you want, you can drizzle this with some honey or even some syrup if you really wanted to. You can actually put some hot sauce if you're more of a savory type of person. But we're going to dig right in so you can see just how good this tastes. So we're going to take a nice, big, juicy shrimp with our grit waffle. I did drizzle some honey on here because I do like the contrast between the sweet and the salty. It's so good, y'all. It's super cheesy, and all the flavor from the grits, you can taste it perfectly. Visually, obviously, it's really beautiful. The shrimp, if you don't overcook it, is going to be nice and juicy and filled with flavor, and just a wonderful combo for you to have, like I said, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So make sure that you guys try this recipe. In the meantime, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment below, and remember to hit that notification button so that you can get more of these fly recipes on another day. See you later.